Bombshell, Congress rocked by major scandal announcement next 72 hours will be crazy, by Al Weissman for freedomdaily.com. Now, this is what we can all call draining the swamp. An investigative reporter, Luke Rosiak, who works at the Daily Caller News Foundation, has now announced that Congress's human resources scandal is about to break wide open and had made the prediction that over a dozen members of the House of Representatives will be forced to resign in the coming days. Luke Rosiak's tweet, Congress's human resources scandal is just getting started. I anticipate we will see the resignation of more than a dozen House members over harassment and secret settlements, and soon. He followed his initial tweet with this new one. Mark my words, the House is going to be rocked in the coming 72 hours. Tick-tock. In addition to this breaking news, early this week, Rosiak also broke the story that Democrat Congressman from New York, Gregory Meeks, was part of a settlement deal with one of his former congressional aides, which he had fired after she reported being sexually assaulted at the business of a major campaign donor. The first congressman to go down in this #MeToo movement for sexual misconduct was Michigan Democrat Congressman John Conyers. Conyers resigned after accusations against him started to gain momentum and multiple women came forward. Senator Al Franken was also accused of sexual assault by multiple women, to which there is even a picture of him groping a sleeping model on a plane. He said he would resign, but has given no time frame as to when this will be happening. The Hill reports Congress owes taxpayers answers about its harassment shush fund, quote. Since when are members of Congress and their staff accused of sexual harassment allowed to hush up and pay off their accusers from a secret shush fund full of taxpayer dollars? Since 1995, it turns out. Congress, we all know, chooses to exempt itself from many of the same laws it foists on the rest of us. It's a grievance I hear regularly during my travels around the country as grassroots activists complain about this law or that regulation. If only Congress had to live under the same laws we do, they'd get it and they'd change it, is a common refrain. For years, for instance, I've been speaking out about the illegal special exemption of Congress from Obamacare, which allows members and staff to avoid the financial burdens they impose on us when they pass that terrible law. If only they had to live under the law the same way the rest of us do, without benefit of taxpayer dollars to subsidize their premiums purchased fraudulently on the DC Small Business Exchange, they might be incentivized to repeal that law. But until recently, I did not know about the shush fund, quote, of Congress, a fund managed by the Office of Compliance, which itself was created following the 1995 enactment of the Congressional Accountability Act, CAA, the first law enacted by the first Republican House in 4 decades. Ironically, the CAA was a serious attempt to bring Congress under many labor laws for which it had previously exempted itself. In fact, under the CAA, Congress applied 12 different labor laws to itself for the first time, including the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Age Discrimination and Employment Act, the Federal Service Labor Management Relations Statute, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, among others. The CAA sought to make changes in how Congress dealt with charges of sexual harassment against its members and staff too. Prior to enactment of the law, a victim of sexual harassment by a member of Congress had virtually no legal recourse at all. With whom would such a victim lodge a complaint or seek redress? So the CAA created the Office of Compliance to deal with such issues, complaints being the dispute resolution process, with a mandatory, yes, really, course of counseling that can last up to 30 days. Only after completing the compulsory counseling may a complainant pursue mediation. That too can last up to 30 days. If mediation fails to resolve the issue to the complainant's satisfaction, she or he can then go to an administrative hearing or file a federal lawsuit. Here's the kicker. If the dispute is resolved in favor of the complainant, read victim, funds for settlement don't come out of the offender's personal bank account or his or her campaign account. Instead, they come out of a secret account maintained by the Office of Compliance. It is so secret, in fact, that taxpayers don't even know they are funding it. According to the Washington Post, there are 235 complainants received compensation totaling $15.2 million between 1997 and 2014. That's more than one settlement per month for 17 years and nearly $1 million per year. We, the taxpayers, have no idea on whose behalf we've been paying to settle these sexual harassment claims. That's wrong. Now, in defense of Congress, the reasoning behind this rather convoluted dispute resolution process was that there could be scurrilous political operatives trying to game the system to target political opponents with potentially career-ending sexual harassment claims. That is a reasonable concern, but in the process of establishing protections for its members, Congress inadvertently institutionalized a cover-up culture in which the supreme end goal is to get the alleged victims to go away quietly. The resolution system is unfairly rigged to protect the careers of politicians, not to protect vulnerable staffers. That the counseling sessions are mandatory reveals that the objective has little to do with helping the alleged victim, but is instead simply aimed at dissuading the alleged victim from proceeding with a complaint. Leave it to Congress to find a way to insert layers of bureaucracy and paperwork into this resolution process. Various proposals are floating around the Congress now that would require mandatory sexual harassment training for members of Congress and their staff. That's a fine idea, and I'm all for it, but those legislative proposals should make another change to the sexual harassment dispute resolution mechanism too. We, the taxpayers who have been paying for more than 2 decades to quietly settle literally hundreds of sexual harassment claims against members of Congress and their staff, have a right to know which member and staffers have made use of the hush money over the years. Going forward, taxpayers should have knowledge about how that fund is used. If Congress wants to get serious about its apparent culture of abuse, it will need to address its cover-up culture. Shush funds may serve the immediate purpose of getting alleged victims to go away, but they do little to stem the tide of sexual harassment. What Congress needs and American taxpayers deserve is more transparency. How dare the United States Congress use our hard-earned money to shut up their own indiscretions? We, as a people, especially those in the middle class, struggle enough to keep our heads above water. To have politicians stealing from us to pay off women they have sexually assaulted because they are a bunch of elitist, unevolved cave dwellers who can't seem to keep it in their pants. any other society, citizens would be gathering with pitchforks outside of the Capitol building by now. We need government accountability, and we need it fast. Congressmen are there to serve us, not the other way around. Please share if you agree we need to hold corrupt politicians accountable for their actions. I agree with that, that's for sure. You see how much corruption is coming out lately? It's disturbing. It's disturbing. I guess they're doing when Donald Trump said we're going to drain the swamp, I see that he meant what he said. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.